Welcome to You Got to Laugh and Keep from Crying. My name is O.W. Sweeney. I'm here with my brother, my co-host, a friend of close to 50 years, and I'm honored to say, welcome to be back again together with you today, brother.
Yeah, and the pleasure is mutual, my friend.
Right there. But let's not forget.
We want to remember
the North Carolina
Triad
Jobs with Justice. We can reach us at 336-272-2758.
And another
Email.
option is email at North Carolina Triad Jobs with Justice at gmail.com. And we hope to hear from you. And this might be a show that makes you want to respond to us in some way because we're going to be dealing with some
this recent shooting, which we're not glorifying the shooting. We're not saying the shooting is right. We're going to go so far to say the shooting is wrong of Kirkland. We're not trying to endorse that.
Charlie Kirk. Yeah.
What we are trying to do is to show that the fact that his actions irritated somebody to the point where they felt he should be dead, which I think is wrong. Which we think is wrong. Let me correct that.
Right.
So,
and since you began with that, this might be a good time for you to continue by sharing with our viewers what was just uncovered in the last day or so about the motives of the alleged, seemingly guilty person of the killing.
I was watching the news yesterday, and they was talking to his roommate about the fact that why did he kill
Charlie Kirk.
Why Charlie Kirk was shot? I can't think of the young man's name who shot him right now.
Right. Robinson is his last name.
Mr. Robinson, why he shot him. Right. And his roommate said he told him that he was tired of Mr. Kirk's hateful rhetoric. Mm-hmm. So they went over and they was talking to their parents. And their parents relayed the same message to him that he was tired of Mr. Kirkland's hateful rhetoric. Now, what was his hateful rhetoric? You got a couple quotes there you can read that he made.
Yeah, I do have a few quotes, and
we just want to show what his hateful rhetoric was.
Yeah,
and we just want to show how this white supremacist administration of Donald Trump is within the government, and I look at the Democrats who have no platform, but yet they won't attack this white supremacist that's going on with no platform. We're standing up for the people. Obviously, people are tired of the way Trump is running things, the way he's putting out this white supremacist thing, and the Democrats are not standing up talking about it or representing the people in any way on it. And they ain't coming up with no platform of anything. So this is a good thing for them to stand up and say, hey, this white supremacist idea of Trump is wrong. Most of the people in the United States of America, I believe, and I could be wrong, don't want it. Because they have proven over and time again that this melting pot that we're in, when we work together, is a better society.
Okay. So anyway, these are quotes from the black woman, who was the last remaining full-time black opinion columnist at the Washington Post before she was fired without any conversation at all. And mind you, Miss Atiyah, Karen Atiyah, had been a Washington Post writer for 11 years at that time.
Which tells me the Washington Post is now trying to support this white supremacist idea of Trump.
But you know that anyway, because you remember that it's Bezos, who is now, I believe, has supplanted Elon Musk as the richest man in the world, if I'm not mistaken. But what Karen Ataya was thinking about, that after the horrific shootings in Utah and Colorado, she condemned America's acceptance, and I'm quoting her now, of political violence and criticized its ritualized responses. The hollow, cliched calls for thoughts and prayers, and this is not who we are, that normalize gun violence and absolve white perpetrators especially, while nothing is done to curb deaths. I express sadness and fear for America, she said. Then, she went on, my journalistic and moral values for balance compelled me to condemn violence and murder without engaging in excessive, false mourning for a man who routinely attacked black women as a group, put academics in danger of putting them on watch lists, blacklists, so-called, claimed falsely that black people were better off in the era of Jim Crow than they are now, said that the Civil Rights Act was a mistake, and favorably reviewed a book that called liberals unhumans. In a since deleted post, the user accused me, meaning Ms. Ataya, of supporting violence and fascism. I made clear that not performing over-the-top grief for white men who espouse violence was not the same as endorsing violence against them. And I think that she's saying more clearly in some ways than we are so far with our show, that we also would say the same thing, that we're not going to perform over-the-top grief for white men who espouse violence, but we are definitely not endorsing violence against them.
Oh, so what you're saying, and I'm going to use this quote where, now Chicago going to find out why it's called the Department of War.
What about it?
Well, is that not a sprout violence? You talking a war department, someone to come down to take over?
Okay.
This man quoted that thing. The president of the United States said that.
Right.
And then this man gets shot, but yet they want to come down on other people as sprouting off violence.
They want to come, exactly. I mean, you put it extremely well. The quote from Trump, Donald Trump, about coming into Chicago and bringing violence against the citizens of the people of Chicago, is a call for violence.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Did you hear the Democrats criticize that? Did you hear anybody criticize that?
Well, I may have heard some people criticize it, but not enough.
I'm talking about on the news media.
But not enough people, and not making a central point out of it. You can touch on something lightly, and you've touched on it. But when someone is
bring it to the light,
and when someone is declaring war on you, and this is, I'm agreeing with you wholeheartedly here and supporting what you said, that when somebody, and especially the commander-in-chief of the United States government, with all those arms and men and women, armed men and women at his disposal.
As many cities he done sent troops into.
Right. And is planning so many more.
Yes.
And then he should be the first person that the fingers are pointed at in relation to responsibility for the violence that was done to Charlie Kirk. That is Donald Trump. Okay. Donald Trump should have been the first person, in my view, arrested when the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, number 2 in line behind the president, the vice president for the presidency, the vice president, and then her, Nancy Pelosi. And when that white thug came into her house, broke into her house, and beat her husband almost to death. Trump didn't act as an actor then. He couldn't contain his glee at being the punishment that Nancy Pelosi got. But in my view, he should have been arrested then for that. But what you said reminds me of that again, because the war on the people of Chicago that's been declared by Donald Trump only preceded the assassination of Charlie Kirk by what, a couple of weeks?
Yes.
Maybe.
So maybe less than that.
As often you do, you hit the nail on the head. I'd like to raise something else with you now that connects to Trump and this treatment, the almost sainthood that the media tried to portray this white supremacist,
yes,
Charlie Kirk, with.
And by his words, a racist.
Anyway, for him, Trump, I believe, ordered the flags be carried at half-mast on federal buildings. Charlie Kirk, I'm sure he had some positives to him. And if nothing else, what you would say, I think, is he was a human being with a wife and two small children and all of that.
That's right.
Okay. But he was not an elected official anywhere.
Anywhere.
Right.
But as Trump said, he helped get him elected. So Trump want to praise him as being almost a god.
Okay.
With his white supremacist way.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at, OW, is that an elected official in Minnesota had been assassinated by an open white supremacist.
And her husband.
And her husband and their dog.
Yeah.
Also, and also wounded other political figures, so-called on the left. Okay. And President Trump didn't even remember when her name was raised with him in a question. He didn't even remember her name. Never mind, raise the staff, lower the staff of the flag to half-mast for her. And I want to point this out too, which I didn't realize until I was working on our effort on this show today, and that is that when Melissa Hortman, the young woman that was assassinated, who had been for a number of years already one of the leaders of the State House in Minnesota, when she was assassinated, it wasn't just the fact that that one person was assassinated, but it actually broke a deadlock between Republicans and Democrats in the Minnesota House of Representatives, a 67-67 deadlock, in which the Republicans and Democrats of the Minnesota House ended up having an agreement on how they were going to proceed in that legislature that required them to work together. So when she was assassinated, that was no longer the case.
Necessary.
The Republicans had one more person than the Democrats did. But probably fortunate for those of us that feel that people need to work together wherever they can.
Regardless.
Right.
Especially the government, the United States House of Representatives, the United States Senate, those people go up there with one way, my way, or the highway. There is no way to govern.
Okay.
You can't govern that way because you can't have everything your way.
Right. But this is the State House in Minnesota that we're talking about. And this
doesn't make any difference.
Wait a minute. Let me make the point, O.W. Melissa Hortman was assassinated. It had tremendous implications for Minnesota specifically, and it had tremendous implications for her family and for all of the people that worked with her over those years in Minnesota. And beyond that, it had the effect of splitting up, at least for the moment, the cooperation that was going on in the Minnesota House between the Republicans and the Democrats. Something that I don't remember seeing on any coverage at all of her assassination. And yet, Trump did not lower the flag when she was murdered by an open white supremacist. Nor did he or Stephen Miller, that swine, or J.D. Vance, if I got his initial right, the vice president, nor did they try to lead in developing a mass hysteria in the United States against the left. I am a leftist. I have less responsibility by far than any of those men, Trump, J.D. Vance, and Miller, for any of these things that happen. Okay. In fact, the leftists like me who oppose Trump, and those people use the word loosely, have done more to prevent this violence, and those people have done more to commit this violence. And while I'm saying that, I just want to mention today's the 14th anniversary of the first Occupy Wall Street, which took place on Wall Street, and a shout out to the people that built Occupy Wall Street throughout the United States, including those of us who did so here in Greensboro, because finally there was some level of political literacy back in the political rhetoric in the United States, because it was like the blind leading the blind, and you can pick the Republicans leading the Democrats or the Democrats leading the Republicans, because they were both blind politically and they were leading the masses to stay blind. So I just wanted to do that shout out to them. That's the left.
That's
Sanders, of all of the people that I've heard in the aftermath of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Bernie Sanders is the one who has had the most balanced approach, who has had the most humane approach. And as we say, those of us that have love for the people of the country, who believe that DEI is important. I is inclusiveness, okay? And those that have tried to wipe out DEI have been trying to develop exclusiveness, and to the exclusion of most of us.
Well, you said exclusiveness. What they're trying to do is push white supremacists above all.
No, they're
pushing white supremacists above all. That if you ain't white, you can't do it right. And that is not the truth. All human beings have the same capability of doing things if they so desire.
Yeah, my only difference with you on this is I think I've been maybe the main one that we know who's been promoting the fact that white supremacy is at the very heart of what Trump and the fascists in the United States are doing. However, but beyond that, the motive is the profit motive. And when you look at what Trump has acquired in the 8 months or so, or 9 months since he became president this time, with the connivance of the bought and paid for by the billionaires Supreme Court, and the bought and paid for not as much in the Republican House and Senate members, and to some extent the Democratic Party's members of Congress as well, that Trump is about the money, first of all. He's not mainly about the politics. He's not very political. His politics are all aimed at getting him the maximum amount of money in this world. And so, and even his white supremacy, underneath it all, his personal beliefs may not be some of those things at all. You know, but what he's doing and whipping up the masses of humanity in this country to be white supremacists. So he's trying to get everybody, including black people, to believe that black people are inferior.
He got a few. I'm gonna call one. This is my belief is Clarence Thomas.
Okay.
And FBI director. He's not white.
Patel. But his name is Kash Patel, and that also helps explain Kash Patel. And that Kash also helps explain Clarence Thomas.
Yes.
And Samuel Alito, and to a large extent the majority of that Supreme Court. But I just want to say another few words, if I can, about DEI. diversity, equity,
And
inclusion, and especially inclusion. I want to remind our viewers that when Trump came in, he nominated for the Secretary of Defense someone who was so unqualified, Hegseth. Well, no. Yeah, Gates. It's hard to believe even now that he nominated Gates for that position. But the person he ended up nominating that was successful was Hegseth. And Hegseth was so unworthy, so unqualified, that it required...
Not was, is.
Okay. That's fine, too. There's no question about that. He's proved it, his unqualified character over and over again since he's been in, and still isn't being moved out yet. But
he's a good flunky.
Well, evidently, the proof of what you're saying is that the first thing that Hegseth did was to remove the fully qualified 4-star general C.Q. Brown, an Afro-American man, who was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs
No
of
inclusion?
Staff. Yeah, he was the enemy of inclusion. Exactly. And by being an enemy of inclusion, Hegseth removed someone who was fully qualified according to the rules and regulations of having a chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and replaced him with an unqualified white male 3-star general.
A good flunky.
But that's what you said. He was an enemy of inclusion. And by being an enemy of inclusion, he was an enemy of having qualified people in positions. And on the same day, he removed the woman who was Admiral Lisa Franchetti as being the head of the U.S. Navy.
No inclusion.
So again, there was no inclusion as part of a move to try to get women out of, which is diversity, to get them out of positions of power in the United States. So the idea that we have unqualified people like Kash Patel, as well as Hegseth, as well as Dr. Frankenstein, I mean Robert F. Kennedy Jr. As the head of watching over our health in this country.
Health and Human Services.
Yes. So these are the things that we know. So, as you said, and I definitely agree with you on the centrality of white supremacy and all this, and I've pointed that out myself many times.
But that's just their primary attack.
It's the primary way of attacking. But it results in them making the most money.
That's right.
So it's a combination of those two things.
And people have to understand.
Those are connected.
Especially the working class people.
Yes.
Who are out here trying to make $1. They putting all this stuff in your head, so you have animosity towards another human being while they make the money.
Yes. Right.
Okay. Right. And I just want to kick this in case people haven't got it. That young man that shot the
United Healthcare CEO.
Healthcare workers.
Not workers. The United Healthcare Chief Executive Officer.
Yes.
Right. His name is Luigi Mangione.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They put a terrorism charge on him.
Right.
And for the life of me, I was wondering why they put the terrorism charge, and I was going to see how it's going to go. But I'm proud and glad to hear that the judge threw that charge out, that he was not trying to terrorize anybody.
Yeah, and
what he did was wrong. I'm not going to get off that.
Right.
But he was not trying to terrorize anybody.
Right.
It just goes to show you how these people in high places with high profit and money on their mind to benefit themselves are overlooking a certain amount of people, which is driving these people to do stupid things, to commit murder, which they should not be doing.
Right. Agreed. And but connected to that your very good point about the judge dropping the terrorism charge in the state case against
he threw it out.
Mangione. Threw it out. What that does is it exposes the cold-blooded, vicious leadership that's right now, as we speak, being provided by Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Miller, and all the other scummy folk who were leading the Trump MAGA movement called the U.S. Executive branch of the government. And the people that need to cry out for and demand that the power belongs to the people. And we need another No King's March, which will be taking place on Saturday, October 18. And on this show, we're going to have the publicity about that. So we want to urge our...
I just want to make this here. I think it's an insult to people that Kirk have insulted and gave them low-minded thoughts, saying that they're not capable of it, that J.D. Vance took over his show. It's an insult to all those people. It's an insult to all the people in the United States of America because they are promoting that filth of white supremacists.
Agreed. And in our unity
lies our strength.